you. If there's any of these that stand out to you that you have no clue what they are, let me know and we'll go over them. Otherwise, these are just kind of some basic terms when it comes to dealing with makeup tutorials. And those are T-zone, foundation, cake makeup, grease paint, concealer, primer, moisturizer, toner, BB/CC cream, bronzer, blush, gloss matte / creamy, cream/powder/liquid, swatches, palettes, contouring, waterline / crease / lid. I put contouring again, whoops. Bleeding / coloring, stipple, brand / drugstore / dupe, color theory, tint / shade, base color, shading, face shape, airbrush, latex, crepe wool, spirit gum, prosthetic, and wax. It's a long list. Any confusion over any of those terms or all of them, I'll answer whatever. Yes?
What's dupe?
A dupe is basically a drugstore brand that is virtually the same like formula as a higher end brand.
Oh.
Like I have one with me actually. And this is from Maybelline. It's their Maybelline Eye Studio, and this is basically the same exact stuff as the Bobbi Brown like Eye Studio stuff that's out there. That's way more expensive. This was like I think $8 or $10. So if you can, and if you're searching online for dupes, like you'll find some that are really recommended. I have others, but I can't remember which ones they are. Any other questions? Yes. Crepe wool. I should just move this over here. Crepe wool is actually I have the one that's unopened. It's what you use for beards or facial hair for cosplay. You'll cut it off, like stretch it out, brush it, because it's really frizzy and curly, so you can straighten it if you want. You'll attach it to your face either if you have latex on or with spirit gum. You just kind of glue it on your face, and it makes it look like you have
If it doesn't match if it doesn't match the hair to the wig, I would recommend just getting some wefts from the
yeah. You can use extra wefts from wigs.
I did that before. It was fun.
Yeah, those usually only come in very natural colors, not anime colors. Any other questions? Okay. Moving on then. So, kind of before you would start any of your makeup, you're going to want to moisturize, use a toner if you're prone to acne, and a primer. They are a very good start to a very solid foundation. They will make your makeup, I know, there's some puns in here. They'll make your makeup last longer, and there are some very good cheap alternatives to brand name like makeup primers and toners. We can throw some at you later. And just generally, it's kind of more specific to me and a few other makeup artists, but there's still kind of conversation about it. Natural brushes are better for dry products like blush and eyeshadow, whereas synthetic brushes are better suited for creams and liquids when putting them on. I don't know why, it's just something to do with the fabric. Material, yeah, works better. It just works better. And you don't need too many brushes for a lot of your makeup. I think there's only like 7 or 8 up there. And a lot of times you can get these brushes through like Christmas sales, like after Christmas when they had sale all of the makeup that didn't get sold. I've gotten a lot of cheap makeup that way. Some of these are kind of self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go over them. Sponges, though, they can be used to apply more coverage than brushes. So if you need like a very, very bright foundation for whatever reason, like Shiro makeup. Shiro. There we go. Shiro Dairy. I can't pronounce it. You're gonna probably want to use a sponge versus a brush, or my brush. But, and finally, a good makeup remover is key. There's nothing worse than trying to get certain makeups off with soap and water. It's just, I have an eye remover in there. I don't want to get it because I don't want to get it up. What is it? Neutrogena. There we go. Neutrogena. So it's a very cheap one that has gotten off some very heavy makeups on me. And of course, more advanced techniques require more tools. But these are just some of the brushes that were mentioned, so kind of give you a more visual to them if you're not too familiar with them. I said, you don't really need too many. Like, I'd say you probably don't need 2 shader brushes, even though they're up there. You really only need 1 and very deft hands. Just continue. Yes?
The one that looks kind of like a fan, what would that be used for?
I've used that for loose powders and like highlights sort of thing. Like I have metallic powders that I was using that it just like added a special effect to it. For otherwise, highlights and lowlights could be used for that. It adds like kind of a graceful effect, I'd say. Yeah. So, any other questions?
I had a completely different one.
Oh, what would you use them for?
Feathering out silicone.
Oh yeah, feathering out silicone too. That works as well. And contacts. Color contacts are increasingly popular for cosplay. I see more and more people use them every year. They're not entirely necessary though. I know some people argue with me on that, but I honestly think unless you're doing like close-up photography of your face, even then you don't necessarily need them. There's things called Photoshop and GIMP, and you can alter your eye color.
But it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a personal preference, I'd say. U.S. stores do require a prescription to purchase contacts. That is just the FDA. You can get them online, however, from different countries, and you won't need a prescription. If you choose to wear contacts, always have supplies to take them out in case of emergency. Like I said, that lovely time when I got alcohol-based product on my eye, I was also wearing contacts, so I had to take those out as well. Yeah.
Please always be prepared to take care of your eyes.
Yeah. Like, I was not being able to see, so I took them out immediately. A few recommended stores online that I'd say are Honeycolor, Unique So, and Eye Fairy. They're very popular, recommended. They have some really good customer service if you're looking to get into contacts.
And Pinky Paradise.
Pinky Paradise can be good. I've
Oh,
had a
yeah.
lot of issues with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They also just changed how their payment's done.
Mhm.
Like, you can no longer use PayPal for Pinky Paradise.
It's been a while since I used Pinky.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, that like concerns me that you can't use PayPal for them anymore.
What was that last one called again? Pinky what?
Pinky Paradise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That one's just I don't feel like I can recommend it though anymore. So you can, but
Well, I don't know. It's been a while since I used it, and then I heard like rumors that they're selling like fake ones, but I don't know if that's true or something. So.
but Honeycolor, Unique So, and Eye Fairy are very solid brands. Honeycolor, you can get them faster, but they're not as like comfortable, I'd say. Unique So and Eye Fairy have really good brands. It's just they take a while because
They take a long time, but everything I've gotten from Eye Fairy I found incredibly comfortable,
Yeah.
and I can see really well through them. So.
Honeycolor is like 2 weeks, I'd say, on average, whereas Unique So and Eye Fairy takes like a month.
Yeah.
So
Roughly.
if you have time, go for those. On skin, basically, makeup you use for cosplay will depend heavily on your skin type and skin tone. Kind of ways to tell about your skin tone, if it's normal, oily, or dry, or sensitive, is how you react to things. If you're usually kind of got like an oily T-zone, which is, you know, right here and here, you've got an oily skin. If your skin tends to flake a lot, like in the summer, if it dries out very easy, you're going to want more, I'd say, creams and liquids. If you have oily skin, I'd say avoid creams and liquids. And sensitive, you have to make sure things are fragrance-free and paraben-free. I think that's everything. Yeah. These are just some brief guys' skin tones. The better makeup brands out there will include like skin tone within their makeup. L'Oreal does a very good job with that. So if you are like me and have a very neutral skin tone, like it can be hard to find really pale pigments that aren't kind of pink or yeah. And like if you're on either end of like the color spectrum, it is going to be harder to find makeup for yourself. It sucks, but you can find them. And I'd say for testing makeup to your skin tone, you're going to want something that actually matches your neck versus your face. because you will blend down into your neck. Yes.
Just a tip on that, when I was very young, I had somebody tell me that you want to match this, because this skin tends to be the color of your natural, so the natural tone of your face.
Yeah, that's another option, but like sometimes it's just,
Yeah.
I figure if you're blending down into your neck,
Yeah,
you're gonna want
then
to
you're gonna
match that instead of like face.
I've heard several different
Yeah.
things.
There's conflicting information on it, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so some recommendations for brands. Drugstore Elf. You can get those at Walmart. It's very cheap.
Yeah, that's like the cheap. That's
And
like really cheap, man.
It's surprisingly really good quality for how cheap it is. Like they have dollar lashes, I think.
I think the
Yeah.
highest price I have was
$6. Like
Yeah.
it is very cheap. Like it is beautiful, and they have like a lot of it in that kit.
Yeah, she does.
L'Oreal, they are kind of like #1 drugstore brand, I think, or something like that. Like they sell the most. I don't know. They're very, very good about foundations and mascaras. Bye guys. Hard Candy. I would say their primers and their concealer are very good. Very, very good. Revlon, CoverGirl, and Maybelline, I would say for mascaras, eyeliners, and some lipsticks. Same with Rimmel. NYX is another universal brand like e.l.f. that they just have a lot of quality stuff to them. They're a bit harder to find though, because I know Ulta carries them, but like
Elf, Target has them.
well, e.l.f. is at Target, but NYX. Oh, NYX, sorry, I think, which is different than NYC. And then Milani you can also get at Walmart, Target, etc. And they're really good. If you can get a skin tone with their powder foundation works with humid weather and is very like sweat proof. For mid-range, Belle Pierre.
There are a couple of mid-range.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add more, but
I'm trying to think. I don't have any on me right now. Whoops. Unprepared.
yeah.
Basically, a lot of the stuff that you can get in places like Ipsy and Maven and whatnot, they'll send a lot of mid-range stuff.
Yeah.
They'll send some upper range stuff, but a lot of the brands that they carry are mid-range in price, and they are fantastic.
For theater-based makeup, which is a bit heavier pigmented, longer lasting, but it does look like theater makeup. Because theater makeup's intended to be under very bright lights, so it will be very strong.
And from a distance.
And from a distance, that's true. But Wolf, Snazaroo, Ben Nye, Fuse FX, Mayron, and Skill Illustrator. For like Wolf, Snazaroo, Ben Nye, and Mayron are very good about their body paints. I would highly recommend them. For high-end brands,
I was going to continue,
Okay.
especially if you're doing airbrushing and whatnot. I would definitely recommend Mayron's mix for their mixing liquid. It is fantastic.
yeah. Oh, and that picture is actually a picture of the Ben Nye student kit. It's a kit of theater makeup. It comes with all that, and it's like $20. So if you can get it in your skin tone. I have to use like Fair Lightest, and they will match that little quad there to your skin tone. So you already have like a highlighter, a low light, a blush, and a lipstick cream. So. And as well as that stipple brush, which that stipple brushes are another thing that I would highly recommend getting one. You can get them online, they're cheap, and they will help you with so many applications.
I've gotten my favorite stippling brushes from Party City.
Oh, yeah, Party City works too.
They're cheap and they're effective.
Yeah. For high-end, Urban Decay, Too Faced, Smashbox, Bare Minerals, and MAC. MAC has an asterisk just because they're very good about their lipsticks.
And their pigments.
And their
pigments
pigments.
are amazing. But a lot of people with sensitive skin have a really hard time with their products.
Yeah. Other ones you just would like recommend 10 times again. I know a lot of people like the Urban Decay primers.
I like Urban Decay primers and eye makeup.
Yeah, and so. Services, Ipsy and Maven boxes are like the $20 services?
Ipsy is 10,
Oh.
Maven is 20.
and you get like a box of makeup to your house every month. So, and then drugstore.com is just kind of if you're needing to buy like a lot of makeup, you can buy from there, and they've got pretty decent prices, so you don't have to go to a bunch of different stores and pay sales tax. All right. Actually, I'll go back in case people are writing those down. Okay. So a couple of more resources that we'll just throw at you. You don't have to. The Bobbi Brown Makeup Manual, that just kind of has a lot of tools and tricks to it for some very basic beauty makeup, as well as matching to skin tone again. Blogs, I'd say Drugstore Princess on Tumblr is a very good one. You can get a lot of drugstore like dupes for that and reviews. Same with MakeupGeek.com. Websites, Temptalia, Makeup Alley, Reddit actually. Yeah, the subreddit on makeup addiction is very amazing. NovaCheap and some YouTubers if you want to watch like how they do this. And I would actually really recommend watching YouTubers because you can see how people do these. Like that's kind of how I learned. And like Michelle Phan, Tanya Burr, Candy Johnson, and Freakmo. Freakmo is Gore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Michelle Phan's like a very popular YouTube like beauty makeup guru. She has her own line of makeup now. Yeah.
Another one, he doesn't do a lot, but once he does, a Pink Stylist on YouTube. He makes a ton
Yeah.
of like,
Pink
really
Stylist.
detailed ones.
Yeah. We're trying to keep it limited, so. Some more on special effects.
Okay, so basic things. Number one, if you think it's enough blood, add more. Always. I don't think you can really go overboard if you're going for it. Don't hold back. Latex takes time. If you're doing liquid latex, give it time to dry, especially if you're doing layers, which you should. Otherwise, you're going to end up with bubbles of gooey liquid still in there, and it gets uncomfortable, and your makeup won't set right over it. Silicone takes a lot less time, but it's more expensive. I like its texture better.
Plus you're allergic to latex.
Yeah, that. You can still work with liquid latex on other people if you use gloves and a mask. But it's challenging, and you have to be very careful that you don't splash, get it anywhere. Even on other people though, I prefer working with silicone. It's just you have to work quickly. It dries very quickly, so you have to mix it in small batches and do it in stages. You can get flesh-colored silicone gels, but I like actually mixing in specific colors to match it as close as I can to the person I'm working with skin tone. You can use powder foundations, you can use cream makeups, you can use just about anything. When you're finished with your silicone drying and everything else, put powder over it. Otherwise, it'll end up shiny and it won't look as impactful when you add your pigments and your blood and everything else. It'll just look fake. Grease makeup and cream makeups can be used on silicone, but it takes patience. You will cry a lot because it smears and it doesn't stick quite as well. I recommend investing in alcohol activated pigments. They are amazing. I use Skin Illustrator mostly. They are intense or mild depending on how much alcohol you put in there. They last forever. The silicone pigments last ages. I have done repeated projects with the same palette that I got a while ago, and I barely used any of it. So those are the basics. Any questions? Anyone want to know anything about Gore? Yeah? Okay.
I kind of got one. It's kind of a two-part question though. So I don't really know a better example than like I see a lot of these Homestuck people going by. What would you try to do? Like you have to have a different skin color altogether, but you also want to attach like maybe a horn to your head. What would be the best way to do that, considering that you have all that makeup on there and other different chemicals like
You put the prosthetic on first.
Prosthetic on first.
Yeah, and then the makeup over.
Okay.
Like, because it won't stick to most of those makeups that you use for body paints
Okay.
otherwise.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right. A bit more on body paints, actually.
For a lot of people, they say that they take the time to find everything on, especially around the hands. Airbrushes aren't scary, and surprisingly, if you go to Harbor Freight and buy their airbrushes, if you're doing area stuff,
Yeah.
just go to Harbor Freight and buy an airbrush for $20. They are really effective, but you still want to make sure that you do contouring when you're doing full body paint, because otherwise it'll look flat, and especially in pictures, it just doesn't show up quite as well.
Yeah.
But that's just one of my suggestions. That is a big thing, testing body paints with your sealer beforehand.
Yeah.
Because some sealers, we were
Yeah.
discussing this before the panel.
Like, Graft Hobie and their theater-based makeup, and I use their sealer with Mayron's metallic mixing liquids. I'm losing my voice, I know. But like, what did it do first?
It melted a little.
Yeah.
And then when it dried, it started flaking off.
Yeah. So do a makeup test if you're gonna do like body paints or anything before a con, see how it works for a few hours. And other things with ceiling paint is if you don't, you can get just paint everywhere and people will hate you for it. Like you'll get paint on people's costumes and it's just
It's something to do out of consideration to other cosplayers, but also to your own costumes.
Yeah.
Because bleeding on your own
yeah, if
can
you're
be
gonna
frustrating.
painting your hands do those last too.
Yeah, hands last.
Yeah. But contouring's kind of, I feel like that should be a big one if you're doing body paints. Just it'll take longer, especially if you're doing sponge application. How long have I taken on pitch black? That was like what, 3 or 4 hours?
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours, yeah, of just makeup. So it looked fantastic, but
It was good.
if you don't add contouring, you lose some of the like pigment to your face. It's kind of the same way if you just have foundation on your face, it just doesn't look right.
Well, yeah. It
Yeah.
depends on the effect you're going for.
Yeah.
though. Like sometimes that is what you want.
Yeah, like
But it's situation to situation.
like I saw people who were dressed as Teen Girl Squad, and I think they had like some white makeup on them. That was very flat. It worked for what they were doing.
Oh yeah.
So, yay, crossplay techniques. We can both talk about this now.
Yes.
Stealth crossplay, or passing crossplay, uses a combination of things. So makeup techniques, body language, and silhouette. This combination tends to be like this. Bye guys. Tends to make you like look more like a girl or a guy, depending on what you're going for. Misspelled wigs. Wigs. Through wigs. Yeah, your silhouette can be altered through wigs, falsies, which are breast forms is another word for them, foam padding, and binding. It really depends on what you're going for. For guy makeup and like trying to look like a guy, a lot of it's more like you're gonna want bigger shoulders, so jacket cosplays tend to look more like guys for whatever reason. You can do foam padding for bigger shoulders, but it kind of looks very 80s.
Yeah. I realize that, like, whenever I cosplay guys, I cosplay a lot of guys. Like, I tried, like, the pads or whatever on here, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm like, this doesn't look good. Because I already have broad shoulders already, so it's like, I'm fine.
I got scrawny shoulders.
Yeah.
Crossbody makeup though heavily relies on contouring. Like you're trying to change your bone structure to look more like whatever gender you're going for. So you're gonna basically, I'd say don't be afraid to splurge on a kit for contouring. And I actually have one I recommend that I recently got into. This was I think $20 and it's from NYX, but it's got like so many different colors, which is very nice. I got it at Ulta, I believe, and I've actually used it for some other things besides contouring at this point. But a contouring kit, and they sell like some that are even like just 4 colors, and those are still good for most like very basic contouring. You don't need too much, but it's nice to have a kit. If you're trying to thin out your lips, use some concealer on the upper lip. I'd say mainly the upper lip, and just do like a light layer of your foundation on your bottom lip.
It's like darker up here
Yeah.
and lighter up down here.
Lighter up here. For,
Oh, yeah.
For guys, it's lighter on the top lip than the
Yeah.
bottom lip. And I know some people will just put concealer all over their lips, but that doesn't look very natural. I feel like.
It depends.
Yeah.
Again, it always depends on
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you take anything away from
Like for
this-
example, like my character right now is like he's a ghost, so he's pale, so I'm like trying to make a pale look, so
Yeah.
everything's pale. So it's a guy character too, so I have to like make sure he looks manly, even though he looks curvy.
It's some fun stuff.
Yeah.
Glue sticks can be used to cover eyebrows, and super thin brushes can add like fake eyebrow hairs if you have like the color you want. And by super thin, I mean get like watercolor brushes, like like the thinnest, smallest brushes you can find, which are generally like acrylic paint or watercolors. Use those to add fake eyebrow hairs.
Glue sticks used how?
Actually, I have one of you. But I know, I'm smart this time. You'll use a glue stick and like you'll just kind of cover your eyebrow. I have to do this later anyways. So you'll just like slowly add to your face, let it dry, and then add more. And what that does, is you can apply powder over it.
Okay,
And it will just like completely like make it look like your eyebrowless.
that's cool.
We've also used a liquid bandage, but that one you have to prep for, otherwise you lose eyebrow hair.
Yeah, no.
And it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah, and it smells.
Those are fantastic. When I've been having kids in my house is full of glue sticks. That's a great idea.
Yeah, no, glue sticks are used probably most by like drag queens and kindergartners, to be honest.
I really, it's the least painful way
Yeah.
to go about it.
I've also seen people cover eyebrows by using soap. Like they'll get it slightly wet and enough to where it's kind of like a clay tacky texture, and then like spatula it on. I don't like that because I'm sensitive to soaps. So
No, that's a fantastic. Glue sticks are a fantastic idea.
yeah. You gotta make sure it dries first before you put makeup on it is the
Yeah.
thing, but you can tell when it dries, so my eyebrows, like,
You gotta
do it for the cosplay. And then, like I was saying earlier, to create face fossil hair, you can use crepe wool with spirit gum, or use a stipple brush. And this is usually, I like to use this for like just some stubble on guys. Use a stipple brush in like a lower color and then a higher color. So I'll use like brown and like my cream, like light beige cream, because that will make it look like you have facial hair and like you're catching the light on the facial hair.
It creates texture.
Yeah, it creates texture and doesn't look as flat. And then if you're trying to hide facial hair, use a red concealer. So it has to do with color theory. The red cancels out like the purple blue color for facial hair. And then I'd say, this is just my own personal preference, is that black eyeliner is feminizing for most characters. You can get away with it for anime characters just because of how they are. Like, but I'd say for non-anime characters, if you're trying to look male, use either a brown eyeliner or a gray eyeliner.
If you're like doing for a more natural look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, it depends on your costume. Contouring. So, two much kind of important things are you want a really good bronzer and a really great highlighter. That student kit that I mentioned that has Ben Nye, it comes with a really good one if you want to use creams. And then kind of avoid shimmers and red tone bronzers. You can like shimmer, if it's got a little sparkle to it, like I just